Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I've got a fun review for you. Lately I've been on, I don't know, I guess I go through like waves of what I'm into and EDC gear, and lately I've been making a point to carry a lot more EDC fixed blades, and I guess that's just been because I've gotten a couple of exciting ones, and so it's kind of reinvigorated that in me, but this has been a long time coming. I've had this knife in my possession since California Custom Knife Show, which was in, what month was that? I don't know, it was the spring one. I want to say it was April or something, April or May, and it's now July. So huge thank you, first of all, to Brandon Park, BP Custom Knives, for loaning this to me and for being ultra, super, way too patient as I've taken my sweet, sweet time to get this done. It's just been, life has been busier than I planned on it being for a while, and it's been very good. It's been very productive, but it's been very little recording. In fact, it's been no recording this is the first time I've recorded today in, I don't know, over a month. So anyway, Brandon loaned me this knife. We had talked about it before the show. He wanted to come up with something that was a little different for him, because most of the builds that he's done, if you like, I'll link his Instagram down below as well as his website and all that. But if you look at his Instagram, you'll see a lot of his builds are just gorgeous, like really highly skilled finishing and really cool material choices. And he's making these fixed blades that are just like art pieces, but are definitely very functional as well. He's somebody who's thinking about the design of the knife from terms of utility, but he's also like, usually he's building things that are super highly polished, and the handle materials are crazy, really cool, like combinations of things, and he does amazing work. And I've handled a few of his knives now because I've met him a couple of times. He lives pretty local to me. We've seen each other at shows. We've chatted quite a bit, and he wanted to take those skills that he's developed in building those types of knives and then translate that into something that would be a more approachable, usable EDC option. There's something that happens when you use really nice finishing and really nice materials that makes the user less prone to using the thing because they're worried they're going to damage how beautiful it's been made, right? That happens for me all the time. Knives I tend not to keep tend to be ones that are too pretty, because I only really want to keep knives that I'm going to carry and use, generally speaking. So he designed this model and picked these materials to be an EDC option that's approachable and that he could, in theory, make more of, get more out there to people, and have it be something easier to get, that you're not like waiting for it to be custom built, and it can be something people actually want to carry and use regularly and put through its paces. So he built this one. This one's technically a prototype. I'm not sure if he's built any more since, but I believe he plans on it, and I would absolutely encourage him to do so because the design is really, really cool. So he provided me to borrow with the knife, with this sheath, and with an additional sheath. They're both basically the same philosophically. The only difference is, as you can see, this one's kind of taco folded, and this one is like pancake style, where you've got rivets on both sides holding what's actually two pieces of Kydex together, whereas this one is one piece that's folded. I've carried it in both. Honestly, I like both. I think I'd give a slight edge to this one. That's the folded style, just because it feels a little more compact and minimalist. And since I'm carrying this horizontal on the front of my body, right, kind of to the right of my belt buckle, so I can draw with my right hand, the smaller the better in that spot, because I've got a dad bod, and so when I sit down, my belly hangs over, and if it's tall this way, then that's less comfortable than something that's narrow this way. So I've carried it more in this sheath than the other, but I did give both a try. He also encouraged me to use this knife quite a bit while I had it, and to put it through its paces and to see how it actually felt in use. So I've done quite a bit with this knife. It's been one of those knives that even if I haven't been carrying it, I've kept it in a place where I've been able to grab it very easily if I'm going out in the side yard to like process cardboard for our recycling bins. This is a knife I grab frequently. I've made a point to cut a few apples with it, see how it slices. That's one of my favorite kind of slicing tasks, to feel how that does. I've put it through zip ties. I've put it through actually quite a bit of paracord. What was I doing? I built like a week or two ago this like outdoor axe and knife throwing target for my birthday party. We were having people over for a barbecue, and I thought that would be fun to do. And so when I was doing that, I was cutting like some dense foam, more cardboard, and what else did I cut? I feel like there was something gnarly in that. I don't know. I've used it for a lot of like projects and stuff. I've made sure it's on me if I'm gonna be working with my hands a little bit, and it's been phenomenal. Plus the finish has held up really, really well, considering I might have a few scuffs on it where it's got fresh use, but I bet if I wipe it that it will look brand new again, because it tends to do that. Yeah, I mean, like, you can see I've been going through some cardboard and stuff, but it looks really, really great. I'm trying to remember now in this moment what steel he said that he used on it. I want to say it was like Nitro V or something. I'm not sure what he'll use in actual production, but it was something that he just had to make the prototype, and it's been fine for everything I've used it for. I haven't put enough mileage on it that I'd feel like I should have gone through an edge on any moderate steel. I have stropped it one time just to keep the edge going. It stropped really well. It's been a convenient knife to carry and use. So let's talk about my kind of typical things. Ergos, carry, cutting. I won't talk about action because it's not a folder, but I should also mention, I keep not saying the name of this knife. I don't believe it's named yet. I've been trying to brainstorm a recommendation on what I would name it for him, and I've got a couple ideas. I'll float them by him. But he also may have thought of something by now. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. But it's unnamed as of when I'm filming this, to my knowledge. All right, so Ergos. I really, really like it. I tend to gravitate towards knives that don't have jimping on them and aren't aggressive in the hand, and this is a perfect balance of smooth but shaped. I prefer Ergos over jimping. I could almost, like, I've got the whole holes over studs thing. I prefer holes to studs, know what I mean? And I've got coins now that say it and shirts that say it and stuff. It's kind of become a thing for me. I could almost like build on that and put Ergos over jimping as like a follow-up to holes over studs. This knife is an excellent example of a knife that's ergonomically shaped well, and therefore it doesn't need jimping, in my opinion. This also isn't a knife that I find myself like using all the time in gloved hands. Maybe that's your excuse for wanting jimping, is because it needs to grip in a glove. This is an EDC fixed blade. It's a knife that's designed to go on me everywhere that I go, and I'm not going everywhere in gloves. I'm going everywhere barehanded. That's the way I live my life. If you wear gloves everywhere, good for you. I don't. And so I love that there's no jimping anywhere on this knife. I love that the kind of gradual curve that you see along the top of this knife lends it to fit into my palm, and then to kind of just press in a natural way into my hand. I love that this cutout comes into almost a guard. It's pretty aggressively cut out here, but then it swells in a very neutral way. Everything feels very smooth there. Sorry, that wasn't very focused, was it? And then, yeah, it comes to a final swell that makes the knife feel like it's very planted in my hand, like it's not going to slip out. And it just works. The way it rests in my hand feels wonderful. So Ergos in a kind of saber grip, which is how I use this knife most, or a hammer grip, are wonderful. In a draw cut, super comfortable. In a reverse grip, very, very comfortable. Reverse grip draw cut, the least comfortable of the grips, but also the least used, and it's not terrible. It's totally workable if I needed to make a cut like that. So yeah, ergonomically, it's a win for sure. Carrying this knife has been awesome. For an EDC fixed blade, which, like I mentioned, is something I've been carrying more and more lately. I have a Jacob Ginsberg Chickadee that I still need to review. I've been carrying that a lot. I've been carrying this a lot. I have one of those Brian Brown, I forget what it's called. It's the ringed one. It's kind of like a Jaeger, but it's got a ring on it. And it's a fixed blade. It's real small. I've carried that quite a bit lately. I've been trying to like feel out more EDC fixed blades. My Steingraber Performance Knives Shark, I carry that frequently. That's kind of a go-to, like if I'm going somewhere that I might get wet. That's a great knife to have on me because it's in Van X. But anyway, I feel like I have a pretty good rhythm of carrying some EDC fixed blades, and my preference tends to lean towards horizontal carry on the front of my body. There are a few knives that kind of break that rule and that do make it onto my belt every now and then, but usually that's more outdoor application and less like everyday. This, for an everyday carry application, to me is pretty ideal. The weight is good, the size is good, the slimness is good, the smoothness of everything is really good. It feels great to carry. So I've liked it quite a bit. I think every time I've carried it, it's been front of body in that spot. I guess I could, sorry, the neighbor's pulling out the trash cans, you can probably hear that. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep on going. You could carry this like scout carry because the loop goes over both sides, so you could carry it on small of back. You could also, of course, with the rivets on this sheath or on this one, either one, because it's got rivets, you could fasten a clip to it and then carry it vertical. But it's a great sheath, awesome retention, not falling out, nothing weird is happening. You've got this great little thumb popper here, so you can pop right out. It just works. So carry is a win. I like carrying this knife. And then there's no action, there's cutting. Ergo's carry, cutting, action. So cutting. This thing is kind of a laser. It's not stupid thin behind the edge. Like it doesn't seem like he's trying to go for a super ultra slicey thin behind the edge knife. I think he's trying to be a little more well-rounded than that so that you can use this knife for some harder use tasks. But this full flat grind is money. The way that it travels through things like cardboard, it flies through stuff. There's very little resistance the way that these grinds are done. The edge that he put on it was fantastic. Like I said, I've maintained that edge with one time of stropping and it's done well. It's just, I think part of it is also the ergos, like the way that this knife sets in my hand and it interfaces with me as the user. It makes it so usable. If I'm processing, like lately we've been getting furniture pieces for the house that have been back ordered and stuff, like a bed frame and all that. And I've had to process like big, long, giant things of cardboard to get them into squares the way that I pack stuff into the dumpster, because we've got so much cardboard all the time that I need to be efficient about how I pack it. And this thing is just awesome for it. Not just for like making a cut, but for feeling good in my hand, doing a lot of cutting over a fairly extended period of time. And if I'm out there for a half hour cutting cardboard into sections, I don't get fatigue on this knife or hot spots or anything like I do on some others. And it just works well in that way. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely a win in that way. There's something too about like the whole idea philosophically behind an EDC fixed blade compared to an EDC folder, which I own way more folders than I do fixed blades. I carry folders way more often than I do fixed blades. But fixed blades have their place. And I feel like the reason for them in my mind is to have something sturdier and more like fail-proof than a folder. Because folders inherently are going to have failure points that fixed blades won't, because there's moving parts, there's things that have to come together, have to lock up, have to stay locked up. There's screws that can come loose, there's all these things. And on a fixed blade, I mean, I guess you've got a couple of screws here holding the handle scales on, but there aren't moving parts. And it's just in its essence going to be a little more robust. And that's what I like about them, right? Like if I'm in the yard doing some work, most of the folders that I own should be able to go through small branches and stuff and help me in the garden and all that kind of stuff. But the dependability, the reliability, I don't know, the robustness of a fixed blade feels different when you're using it, and it feels more confidence inspiring. And so even an overbuilt folder is probably not going to be as strong as a well-built fixed blade. There's just I don't know. That's the way I feel about it. And I feel like science and data would prove that point. But yeah, to create a fixed blade that is comfortable to carry the places where I would typically be carrying a folder is the trick. And so when it's accomplished and it's gotten right and it's something that works for me to carry, I get excited about it. And this is one of those cases where I'm excited about it. This is an EDC fixed blade that, although I'm giving this proto back to Brandon, when he's making these and he has some ready, I'll absolutely buy one and I'll absolutely carry it, and it'll go into that rotation, and it'll be a fixed blade that will be easy to reach for when I'm deciding between the few that I have, as one that's like reliable, dependable, comfortable, and just works. So I tip my hat to him. I feel like it's really cool to see. In some ways, this is like his first like really EDC focused model, but it's far from his first knife. You can tell that Brandon has gotten really good at what he does in making knives. And for a dude who's working in like, I think a garage by himself with fairly limited tools compared to big knife companies, he's accomplishing great things. This is really impressive, and he's a pretty young dude. So not only is this a great offering, but it makes me excited too to see like in another couple of years, where's he going to be at? Because this is really, really good. So anyway, I guess that'll be that. My full review of the currently unnamed but very cool fixed blade. Hopefully in the title of this video, I've just got a name on it. Maybe I won't by then, but I'll talk to him today and see if there's a name for it. And if it's in the title, then that'll be the name, I guess. But yeah, thank you again to Brandon for loaning me this to check out and review, and for being so patient. Seriously, I apologize that I've been so out of it on getting stuff filmed, but I'm trying to get back on the horse a little bit. And yeah, all of his links will be down below. Check them out. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.